everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Jessica and this is the Fieldsville house. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys Kinley's birth story. I previously had shared her birth vlog where I actually vlogged whenever I was in labor and we were in the hospital. So if you have not seen that, be sure to check it out. I will have a link to that video in the description box below. But I can share a little bit more details and a birth story of me telling it versus everything that I could catch on camera whenever I was vlogging during the actual birth. So I thought that it would be fun to have this for my memories as well. And if hearing birth stories is sort of your thing, I have 9 other birth stories that I have shared on my channel too. I actually have them in a playlist. I will put that in a link to that in the description box below as well. Okay, so if you are new here, hello and welcome. To give a little bit of a backstory, just to kind of explain a few things. Kinley is our 10th baby. She was born 4 weeks ago, and like I said, I had shared her birth vlog. I had actually shared several videos right before I had her, so there's some details that I will be repeating if you happen to see all those vlogs, but that's okay because I kind of just want all the details and everything together surrounding her birth in one video. So just stick with me. Okay, so like I said, Kinley is our 10th baby, and she is actually only the 4th baby that only the 4th, like that's still a lot of kids. But anyway, she was only the 4th baby that I went to labor with on my own. The other 6 births that I have had, I was induced with, and I really wanted to avoid an induction if at all possible. Now, all those deliveries were a medically necessary induction due to low amniotic fluid. All those details are in the other birth videos, again, that I'll have a link to those in the description box. So I really just wanted to avoid that. It's just really hard on your body, and it's just really no fun, okay? So to go back just a little bit, Drew is our 9th baby, but he was my first first pregnancy that I went into labor on my own with in 10 years. So all those years and all those babies I had to be induced for. And so I was really, really hopeful that my body would cooperate again and that I would be able to go into labor on my own. And I was. So I was super excited about that. So I have a lot of checkups at the end because of my previous history and having low amniotic fluid. So there's always like a anxiousness with each week, each passing week, and each ultrasound and all that. Like, am I gonna have to go straight to the hospital, or am I gonna be able to go home? So like I said, you don't really know with me, like what's gonna happen. Are we gonna have an early baby or a late baby? Okay, amongst everything else, being 9 months pregnant, we're also in, middle of a pandemic and COVID happening. And so there was a lot of fear and anxiety surrounding the delivery, not knowing what to expect. Hospital policies were changing all the time. I was hearing so many different rumors from doctors, from labor and delivery nurses, from midwives. I mean, in my practice and in my city, like this wasn't just articles that I'm talking about that I was reading on Facebook or something. This was actually firsthand advice that I was hearing. I was hearing conflicting stuff from my doctor's office and from the doctors versus what was being said by the labor and delivery nurses in the hospital. I happened to go into the hospital thinking I might be in labor, and ended up being false labor with my 10th baby. I mean, come on, Jessica. Anyway, so I had a doctor's appointment that day, and I had found out that I was 4 centimeters dilated. And in my previous births, once I hit 6 centimeters, I hit transition, and I'm holding a baby within 20 minutes. I go from 6 centimeters to holding a baby in 20 minutes, okay? So having that on my mind and being 4 centimeters, I was thinking I could drop this kid in the middle of Walmart. I mean, come on, 4 centimeters? Anyway, so being 4 centimeters was a little concerning to me, especially if labor decided to show up like lickety-split super fast, okay? So anyways, whenever I was in the hospital to be checked, and it wasn't false labor, I was having contractions, but whenever we came in, the contractions stopped. And I even said to Nathan, maybe we should just go home. And he was like, maybe we should be checked, because if you're 5 centimeters, then we know that these are actually doing something, and maybe they would want to keep you anyway. So I did go in. I was still 4 centimeters, and I had just a few contractions while we were there, so they sent me home. Anyway, so fast forward, I ended up making it another 6 days. So I do believe that those contractions were doing something, and I had an insane amount of pressure during this time of now being past due. Okay, so each day, it was almost like the pressure was just getting worse and worse. And then on my 6th day past my due date, I woke up at 7 o'clock that morning, and I had to go to the bathroom like every almost 41-week pregnant woman has to do 5 million times in the middle of the night. I got up and used the bathroom. I was like, stomach's kind of cramping. And I was just like, I just wasn't feeling that great. Went back to bed and lay down, and it was still there. Like, usually just that pressure from having to go to the bathroom, it relieves itself after you go to the bathroom. And I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, this isn't the bathroom. I was like, I think I'm in labor. And it wasn't even like it was contraction, like it was just this pressure. So I lay there for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I was like, So I got back up, went back to the bathroom, and I was thinking like I would lose my mucus plug or something like that, like a sure sign. Obviously, being 6 days late, if you're having anything happen, you're in labor. With how I was feeling, I knew obviously that this was labor, being past my due date, being my 10th baby, this for sure is it. So I immediately jumped in the shower, and I was like, I'll take a shower. I can take my time. I can start getting ready. Well, while I'm in the shower, I start having very consistent contractions, like one on top of the other. And I was like, holy cow. And this was my fear, is that I would go into labor so fast that one, I didn't make it to the hospital, or would have this baby on the side of the road, or that I would not make it in time to get an epidural. So after I got out of the shower, I woke up Nathan, because I hadn't even woken him up at this point. Woke up Nathan, who's like, have you called your mom? Because she is coming over to watch the kids. And I was like, no. And he was like, why? And I was like, I don't know. So he called my mom. He's like, she takes forever to get anywhere. And she does. She's always late. He's like, we need to call her to get over here right away. So Nathan called her, and obviously, she was still in bed. So it's going to take her just a little bit longer. Anyway, so we both are getting ready. And again, the contractions are just one on top of the other. And I was like, Nathan, I don't think that we can wait for my mom. So we had woken up our older girls and told them, hey, I'm in labor. We're going to head to the hospital. Grandma will be here really soon. And we left and she was here within 15 minutes. So on the way to the hospital, again, it was contraction on top of contraction. And this whole time, I am so worried about getting the epidural. I'm going to show up, and I'm just going to be, too fast, and they're not going to be able to give me the epidural in time. So we show up to the hospital, and with the new COVID policies, I have to go back to triage by myself, and Nathan had to wait in the waiting room. Now, once they confirm that you are, in fact, in active labor, or that they will admit you, your spouse can come back. And so I walked back to triage, and I was like, this is my 10th baby. I'm in labor. Give me the gown. I want an epidural. By the way, I was 4 centimeters 6 days ago. And they were like, holy cow. Okay. So they start scrambling to, get stuff started and making sure, seeing how progressed I was and all that. So they checked me, and they were like, you're 6 centimeters. Let's get to a room. They were like, do you want a wheelchair? I was like, nope, show me where it's at. So I start walking back there. They had given me a gown, and I just quickly changed. And they had Nathan meet me in the room by this point. So I had met the nurse, who ended up being my labor and delivery nurse, and she was just amazing. And that was one of my huge prayers, is that I would just have a good nurse, or a nurse that lined up with my beliefs and my thoughts and what I wanted. Because I'm telling you, y'all, nurses make or break anything that you're in the hospital for, but especially labor and delivery, okay? So they were like, well, since you want the epidural, we are going to get you that bag of fluid really quick, because obviously you have to have, in case you don't know this, you have to have a full bag of fluid in you before you can get the epidural. They're like, we've already called the anesthesiologist, because they could tell, I'm progressing fast, one, it being your 10th baby and stuff like that. So they start looking at me, and they're like, you have really tiny veins. We may not be able to get it. It's going to take a while to get the IV. I was like, I know. I hate that part. Not so much, I don't mind the IV. I don't mind blood work or anything like that. It's just that it takes them so long that, obviously that's a concern for me too, because I want the epidural. So anyways, they told me, we will try one time. If we don't get it, we'll go ahead and just stick your hand. And I was like, that's perfectly fine with me, because I want that fluid, because I want that epidural. Anyway, so sure enough, the first vein blew. So they went ahead and stuck my hand, got the fluid going. And then they were doing blood work in this arm, and they had to use that bulby thing, whatever that is. So getting all that going, and then the nurse starts telling me about the COVID test. And she was like, okay, so you have to have the COVID test. Your husband does not. She starts explaining everything to me. And the first thing she said was, I'm going to administer the test just to you, just the way that I want somebody to do it to me. She was very, very gentle. You hear all these horror stories of like feeling like they're scraping your brain and all this stuff. Now, it wasn't like the most comfortable thing in the world, but it wasn't so bad that I was like, dear God, I never want to do that again, okay? So she was very gentle, and again explained every step of the way of what I would feel. And then I said to her, I said, well, honestly, the test doesn't really make me nervous. It's the fact that if it's positive, if Nathan can't be in here with me. And she said, your husband can stay with you no matter what the results are. So please don't worry about that. And I was like, that was just, in that moment, it was such a weight off my shoulders, and I was so thankful. And I think it might have just been her. Because I've heard from a different nurse in that hospital that said if it's positive, they can't stay with you. So to go back a little bit, all while I was in labor at the house, on the way to the hospital, I really did not think about the test or if it was going to be positive or negative. And I think that was just the Lord just kind of clouding my mind and not letting me worry about it until it was there in front of me. And I didn't really feel anxious or stressed or anything like that. But obviously hearing that Nathan could be with me was a huge, weight off my shoulders. So Nathan had to leave for me to have the test, and so did the nurse, and she had to put on the get up, and she told me, she said, well, one of the theories is that when you do the test is that if it's positive, you are releasing COVID out in the air, basically. So that's why nobody can be in the room with you, and that they have to wear all the masks and get up to administer the test. So anyways, and then you have to be alone for 20 minutes because it takes 20 minutes for them to get the results. Well, wouldn't you know, 15 minutes into my 20-minute period, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, when you're in labor, you have a lot of pressure. You got to go. So I am now hooked up. I have the IV is in this hand, but the IV pole is on this side of me. The blood pressure cuff is on this arm, but that machine is on this side of me. Plus all the stuff on my belly and all that, the monitors and all that, which is on this side of me as well. I am not the nicest, I'm not the most, I'm not a patient that listens to what the nurses say, okay? I normally just unhook myself and I go to the bathroom. I'll take, the IV pole with me, obviously. So I tried to pull the monitors out of the machine so that I could just, take the IV pole with me and go to the bathroom. Well, I couldn't get them out. And I'm, like I said, I have the IV in this hand. Like, I couldn't really move that well. So I had to call the nurse. So she comes in. She actually did not have her get up on. And I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And she's like, okay, I'll help you. And she said, well, just to let you know, I've already called your husband to come back here. She was like, it's not time yet, but if you notice, I don't have my get up on. She was like, I'm really not worried about the test. So it was just kind of like, I don't know, just a nice, peaceful, I don't know what to say. It was just nice the way that she treated me, for all of this. So she helps me get to the bathroom. Nathan's back in the room. And I don't know if it was like God making me have to go to the bathroom so that I didn't have to wait that full 20 minutes. I don't know. But it was just neat. So later on, she actually told me like much later. She's like, oh, by the way, your test was negative. I was like, oh, I kind of even forgot all about that. Like, I didn't care whether it was positive or negative. Like, the results didn't matter to me as long as Nathan was with me. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't have any symptoms. I haven't been exposed to it. So it really wasn't a concern in that. Just my concern was having Nathan with me. So anyway, she comes back in with the anesthesiologist. I get the epidural. It actually was a breeze. The anesthesiologist was great. Everything went super fast. I could still feel in my left leg. And so they ended up coming back and giving me another bolus. And then I really couldn't feel anything. So that was like so I got to the hospital at 9:15. I got the epidural around 11. It takes so much time for all that stuff to happen. And so I'm laying there in labor. I ended up getting the chills really, really bad and was very, very shaky. which is normal with the epidural or also with, your body managing pain and stuff like that. And it's been something that I've had with every labor and delivery. I usually actually have it really bad after I have the baby. This time it was before. So the nurse came in and she wrapped me with warm blankets and put one over on my head, but it's really amazing because it kind of helps. It just calms your body like almost immediately and you're not shaking so bad. And we had just gotten to talking and what churches we go to, and we were playing worship music in our room. And she, was singing along, so I knew that she was a Christian, and it was just amazing. And I said to her, I was like, I really was praying to have a good labor and delivery nurse, because nurses make or break your situation in the hospital. And she was like, that just blesses me so much. She was like, I wasn't even supposed to work today. I got a phone call last minute and I almost didn't even take it. Or I almost told them that I couldn't come in. I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and come in. And her shift actually ended. I was just about to give birth and she stayed with me to be there for the delivery. And then, she left right after that. But it was really neat. And I know that God just did all that for me, and it, just obviously blessed me. So they had checked me again at, some point, and I was still only 6 centimeters. I was actually kind of surprised and a little, I don't want to say discouraged, but I was like, really? Like, I've never had that happen before. Now, had I not had the epidural, obviously, I'm sure that the baby would have been delivered a whole lot sooner. But I was really fine because I was feeling really good. And I was just able to rest and relax while I was in labor. For reference, if y'all are new here, I had our first 7 with no medication. So I know what I'm missing. And I'm perfectly fine with it right now at this stage in my life. Anyway, so they came in and checked me again, and I was 8 centimeters. And I was like, okay, it'll probably be like another hour or so. And sure enough, like I was feeling, a good bit of pressure, and they came and checked me and they were like, yep, it's time to have a baby. I was fully effaced. Everything, was good. I think I pushed for 3 times and the baby was here. Again, a very smooth, easy delivery. And one thing that was really kind of cool and different for me this time. So again, previously in my other labors and deliveries, I have gone natural, no medication. And how I deal with the pain is I lay there with my eyes closed and I'm just praying. I am completely oblivious to what is going on around me because I'm trying to focus. And so I don't, I can't talk, I can't say anything. My eyes are just closed and I'm focusing. And what I'm doing is I'm praying. Again, in those previous births. I was still doing my eye closing thing while I was pushing for Kinley. And the nurse said to me, she's here, Jessica, open your eyes. And I had never experienced this before. So, because I'm trying to focus, on what I need to do. So my eyes were just closed. Whenever I opened up my eyes, I saw Kinley come out, but out. And, she, how they look right after they're born, they're like pretty much white, all covered. And it was just the neatest experience because I had not, seen that with our other children. And, they immediately plop her on me. And it's like within those 2 seconds that it takes, for lifting her up on my chest, she's already starting to pink up. It just was a really neat, moment for me. And I wish that someone would have told me that with the other babies, open your eyes so that I could see them, bring them out into the world. Anyways, so she was here and she was just absolutely amazing. And my first response, and you can see it in the vlog, Nathan was trying to get just a little clip. I told him, just get just a little bit. I don't want to share all that with the whole world. Anyway, so he, the baby's on me and I just look at her and it was this really weird, deja vu moment. It was Addison, which is our second daughter. She looks so much like Addison, and it was just and that's when I looked up at Nathan. I was like, she looks like Addison, it was just neat. And we always have those discussions towards the end of my pregnancy. Who do you think she's going to look like? What color eyes do you think she's going to have? Because we have some light-headed kids, some blonde kids, some dark-haired kids. We have blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes within our children. So it's always neat to guess, what color hair they're going to have and stuff like that. So anyways, I had an okay recovery. As far as in the hospital, I felt okay, immediately. But once the epidural wore off, I can't even describe the amount of pain that I was in. And it wasn't just cramping and afterbirth pains that I was feeling. It was my whole entire body, like from the top of my head to my toes. I just hurt like I had never hurt before for a good 24 hours. Like, it was kind of rough. I don't know why. I don't know if it was epidural, if it was the actual delivery. I don't know. But that part wasn't fun. But anyway, so Nathan had to be super hands-on with the baby. He always is anyways, but he did a lot of the initial work for her in the first day because I just was not feeling that great. He did all of the middle of the night feedings that night, and even the second night, because I was just, feeling so bad. But once I got past that, I've had a very good recovery, and Kinley has been absolutely amazing. She has been an incredible sleeper, which I am hopeful that will stay. So we are just doing really good. Like I said earlier, I didn't tell you all her birth weight or anything like that. So she was 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and she was 20.5 inches long. And she was actually born at 2:14 in the afternoon, which in military time is 14:14. And we were in room 7. So we were like, it was like 7, within division of 7 anyways, but it was just kind of cool. So another big difference was we could not have the kids come up and visit us. And that is usually something that we do almost right away. Like, Nathan and I all have a couple hours with the baby, and then I'm like, go get our kids. And usually we actually have the baby in the middle of the night, so I have to wait, until the morning. And I usually wake Nathan up really early, go get the kids. And having had her in the middle of the afternoon, which was kind of different for us, I was kind of bummed that the kids couldn't come up there, but it was also nice because it forced me, one, to rest, and to obviously just sit and hold my baby because I couldn't do anything else. But anyways, overall, we had a great experience. All of my fears were set aside. God, provided the perfect nurse, the perfect delivery. I was able to get the epidural. It just really went very well. And as long as everything went well, and if you wanted to, you could be discharged at 24 hours. And we were discharged pretty much right at 24 hours. They did her jaundice test at the 24-hour mark, and her levels, I think the level, you have to be below a 6 in order to not need any light therapy or anything. And hers was like 5.9. I was like, seriously? But they let us go home. So she was slightly jaundiced, but not bad enough, obviously, for light therapy. So anyways, we are doing good, and we obviously have been home and just enjoying our sweet baby girl. So that is Kinley's birth story. I hope that you all enjoyed, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks.